The Patriots aren't the dynasty they used to be, but is there hope? Plus, today we debate a couple of dad hacks. Welcome to Red Zone Dads. Everybody, welcome back to episode 2 of Red Zone Dads. Great to be back with everybody again. Hopefully, you guys are tuning in. If you haven't hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, please hit that up and also give us a like, a share, whatever helps this podcast. We'd love to get more episodes out there, but we'd love your support as well. But welcome back again, where we discuss on the Red Zone Dad channel. We discuss football, we discuss fantasy football, fatherhood, and we sprinkle in some other sports and some overall life stuff as well. Today, well, first off, my name is Rick Guillaume, host of the podcast. Today I have with me Mike Pimentel. Mike, you there?
I'm here, Rick. What's happening?
What's up, Mike? We had a great episode 1. You're back for episode 2, huh?
Yeah, can't get enough, baby.
Love it, love it. Not only do we have Mike, but today we're gonna go 3 deep, 3 wide, whatever you want to call it, with my main man, Marc Prevlon. Marc, you there?
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Yes, sir. Thanks for tuning in last time, and thanks for joining us today. And I brought you here for a specific reason, which we'll get into in just a couple minutes. But Mike, meet Marc. Marc, meet Mike.
Going on, bud?
Hey, what's happening, Mark?
Just another day, brother. Another day.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Well, let's start. Mike, we already got your credentials out of the way because you had said on the last episode that you're a father of 3, that you're a Patriots fan. Marc, let's get right to you. What are your father credentials, and do you have a favorite team?
All the credentials, huh? Yeah. So right now I got a 1-year-old about to turn 2 next month, and then I got another child on the way who's supposed to be my girlfriend's supposed to be getting induced the week after my son's birthday. So my hands are getting full right now.
Let's go.
And then after that, pretty much my favorite team, of course, I'm a hometown person, so you know I got to go with the Patriots and the Celtics. So can't ever go against them guys.
That's it. That's it. Well, which leads me right into our first topic today. And just to give the listeners a little preview, we're going to discuss the New England Patriots. We are all fans of the Patriots, so we're going to take a little deeper dive into kind of their recent struggles. We'll dive into the state of the franchise as is. We'll discuss some draft roster moves and an overall season outlook. After we do that, we're going to dip into a little bit of a dad life segment. You guys ready?
Of course, let's go.
All right, first up, let's take a Patriots deep dive. We'll spend some time on this, but let's talk a little bit about a quick recap of the recent struggles. Post Brady era, we had Mac Jones, we had Bill Belichick for a little bit, we had Drake May, 2023, 2024. The seasons weren't really what we wanted them to be and what we're accustomed to seeing as Patriot fans. But you guys think, Mike, we'll start with you first. Are we in a full rebuild, or do you think the Patriots can actually compete this year? And if you don't mind, talk a little bit about the recent struggles and kind of where your head's at with everything going on.
Well, as to a rebuild, I don't think it's a complete rebuild the way that we would think a rebuild happens. I think right now, especially with the season that we just had, where we came off of a 4-13 season, we didn't really get to see Drake May. Unfortunately, offensive coordinators or lack of staffing and experience was very detriment to his progression in the league. Right now, I think pretty much because we have Mike McDaniels and we have Vrabel on the team should be going on a positive uprise. The last 2 years, we've been 4-13, and I think that with the additions that we just made through free agency and the pickups that we did through the draft, I think we should be in a positive light for this year.
What say you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, as far as their recent struggles, I mean, it's clear that Mac Jones wasn't him, right? Bill Belichick kind of had lost a little bit of his luster. They had to move on. Mayo was put in a real tough spot. That was a quick one and done. Anytime you have a coach for 1 year and then you fire him, you're in some trouble. So I actually think they're in a full rebuild mode. They'll be better than they were last year. Again, kind of like what Marc said, the offensive coordinator, the head coach, they did some good things in free agency, we think. They did some good things in the draft, we think. But, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I think they're going to improve. but I don't think they're going to be contending.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit of a mix. At first, before the draft happened, we got Mike Vrabel as a coach. We got, a couple of lame free agency signings. I was like, oh, there's no way, hell no, right? But as they kind of went on through post free agency, and yes, they addressed the defense in free agency, but they in the draft picked up a running back. They picked up an offensive tackle who may be a guard later on. And it seems like, based off the YouTube videos and the Twitter videos, or X if you want to call it that, there's some life in that building. Whereas last year it seemed like the life, it wasn't really, it was kind of dormant. You know what I mean? So I'd like to say that yes, while they're in a full rebuild, they're still gonna try and compete. The reason I think that is because of the division that they play in, the conference that they play in. The AFC, while they have a lot of, cool little looking teams like the Bengals, for example, the Raiders look pretty cool, but I think the Patriots can compete with these guys. Why? Because they address the defense early and often. The offense needs help, so we're gonna see what Drake May can do, what the new offensive weapons can do, and hopefully Stephon Diggs is ready to go. But I think that they can compete for a wild card.
Yeah, I mean, as far as what they've been doing, right? Like, how many times can you swing and miss in the draft?
Right.
I mean, for what, 5 years in a row, they they have like one guy that was actually like that could play in the past 4 or 5 years. I mean, you can't do that and compete. There's just no way. And as far as moving forward, I guess the definition you want to talk about the definition of compete. Is it make the playoffs? Is
Mm.
it you're in games and you lose them, you don't get blown out? Is it 500? Like, what is the definition of compete? Like, I don't see them making the playoffs, but I think they're going to be at a higher compete level than they were last year.
Well, what they have? Three wins last year, 4 wins?
No, they went 4-13 last year,
Four. I mean,
and in 2023 also they went 4-13. I think to jump on to the points of what we did in the free agency and in the draft, I think we picked up some key pieces. I think right now, especially with Milton, you have Carlton Davidson, you have Harold Landry. You did, like Rick said, you picked up Stephon Diggs. Hopefully, he's back up to 100% or very close to 100%. Mac Hollins, wide receiver, Morgan Moses as at right tackle. So they definitely did address a lot of areas that they needed to address. And I think, like I said before, McDaniels, who's a mastermind of basically coming up with a gameplay for these guys to perform every single week. It shouldn't be. It should be in the process of them just getting to know what the standard is, where guys need to be, and gelling to so that they can make a run to be competitive. I think they should be competitive. Just seeing that with a person like Vrabel, you know what you're gonna get. His teams are basically, we're coming, we're gonna hit you, and we're gonna play full out, full out. It's basic football. But McDaniels will add a twist to make life a little bit easy. To be honest with you, I really think they're going to be like the Chargers of last year. Pretty
mhm.
much basic, run the ball, throw when need be, not put too much pressure on Drake, but at the same time, let the kid play ball when need be. And then after that, let everything else fall in place. So for me personally, I think they're going to be very competitive, and I think that looking at their schedule, they should be making the playoffs.
No, for sure. I think there's a good chance of that. But you had already started talking about the draft and some of the roster moves that they've made. But let's dive right into it. Right? They've had some key 2025 rookie draft picks that came in. Some people loved them, some people didn't like them. I personally like the moves that they made. But let's talk about the impact that the draft picks have on Drake May, as well as the defense or any other, standouts that have come to the team. I lost Stephon Diggs, Milton. What's Milton's last name? Is it Williams?
Williams.
Williams, Milton
Williams.
Williams. Let's talk a little bit about that and talk about the biggest need that they may still have. So, Mike, why don't you start us off with that?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the draft goes, I thought it was all right. They were put in a tough spot where you had two studs, going 2 and 3, and you're kind of left with whatever's left over, right? I think that they made the pick that they had to make, and with Hang on, jeez, with Will Campbell. I mean, they didn't really have a choice. Everybody, people are saying he's a tackle, he might be a guard. It's tough to pick a guard at 4, but they didn't really have a choice. They had to do what they had to do. I don't love Travion Henderson in the second round. I think that they should have picked a running back, but they could have picked one later. As far as the free agent signings, I really like Diggs. Obviously, he's hurt, but he's always been one of my favorite players. I love that guy. I love the slot guys that can catch 100 balls. I'd rather have a guy like that than a guy that's going to be on the outside running streaks and all the way to the end zone.
Tyquan Thornton.
Yeah, catching 40 balls and maybe like 6 touchdowns. I want the possession guy.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know much honestly about Kyle Williams. They say that he could be one of those guys. He could be a slot guy. He could be a twitchy guy, catch a bunch of balls. But forgive me for being skeptic about their wide receiving drafts. They couldn't draft a wide receiver if they were surrounded by him in the ocean and they fell out of the boat. Like there's no it's been terrible. So I'll believe it when I see it kind of thing with Kyle Williams. And so that's kind of where I'm at with the draft. I give it like a B-, and we'll see. These guys could turn out to be studs, or it could be like every other year. We're excited, because I think they needed to address the offensive line, and they did. Especially with like Morgan Moses over there at the right side. I think they're still starting Cole Strange for some reason. That guy's a bum. But we'll see how they do, and I think they've definitely made some improvements via the draft and the free agents.
Bro, you brought up receivers and how we can't draft receivers. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, the last receiver that was, I don't want to even say great, but good or good enough was Terry Glenn in the 90s. And that was like
It's 20 years.
Almost 30, yeah, that was more than 20 years ago. Shit.
Yeah, 30 years.
That was almost 30 years. Like what, 97, something like that?
Yeah.
Terry Glenn. All right, Pete. What about you, Mark? What do you think about the draft picks this year? The impact it's going to have on Drake May, the offense, the defense. What are the biggest needs? What would you give the draft grade for the Patriots?
Well, like I said, with the draft, they basically attacked the draft in the sense to make it look like, again, the Chargers. When you pick up, like they said, Will Campbell, and then you pick out Travion Henderson. Travion Henderson, add him to the backfield with Stevenson, and I believe they have like 2 or 3 other running backs, which they have good depth. They also did draft a running back who I can't remember his name right now, but he came out of a small school. They're comparing him to the Christian McCaffrey type of running back.
Yeah. I forget
that.
Yeah.
So now, when you have a good depth of running backs and then you can run the ball, I think again that's going to be perfect. But again, like you guys said, Kyle Williams, wide receiver room, it's iffy. Stephon Diggs, again, we're looking at he's not 100%, but I think the more of reason why they brought him in is because he has that dog mentality. He has that mentality to walk into a room and then light a fire under the other guys and show them, be like, hey, listen, you got to go out there and get what you need to get. You got to be out there. You got to be vocal. You got to be dirty. Not in the sense you got to be dirty as a bad football player, but you got to be in the mentality of like, we got to ball out. Like, we can't just be happy catching 1 or 2 balls, sitting on the sideline and talking about what's for dinner. So I think like he brings the type of energy that you're going to need. And then you also, in the 3rd round, they picked up a nice pick, which I think was a very underrated pick, is Jared Wilson from Georgia, who's the guard. So they definitely did a couple things in the free agency and in free agency that they definitely should help this kid move forward and get the team going. But after that, like I said, there's no reason why this team shouldn't gel and move forward in the right progression for them to get the ball rolling. And also, I also think with McDaniels, he's not going to be that guy to have 5 wide receivers out there. His MO was change it every single week. Mm-hmm. And on the same time, he's a guy who likes tight ends. So if you have two solid good tight ends, I definitely see this team moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough with the Patriots, man, because Mark, as you know, as I've told you before, like I wish they got Travis Hunter, but that wasn't going to happen. I wish they got another receiver in free agency or via trade, but that didn't happen. So we got Stephon Diggs, right? Do I like Stephon Diggs? Yes. Do I think he's healthy? No. Do I think he's going to be ready for the first game against the Raiders? I have no idea. I see the guy running routes, working out, things like that, but that doesn't mean he's a full go when the season starts. So I still have big questions about the wide receiver position on the Patriots. I do not believe in any other wide receiver on the team. Mark, I laugh because you had mentioned we got Mac Hollins, like the dude that doesn't wear shoes to games. I guess that's his thing, but I don't know what to do with that. You know what I mean?
No, well, in the sense, in the sense to him, it's better that they added somebody rather than they didn't add anybody. You see what I'm saying? Because like
Yeah,
currently, right now, our roster with the receivers that we have, it's like who's the go-to guy, and a big body and 6'4", 6'6", or I forgot what his height measurements are, but he's a big body. So we didn't have any big bodies in the past 2-3 years. That's the problem. We had a whole bunch of like 5'10", maybe 6 feet tall guys. 6'4", 6'6" guy, that gives you an opportunity to throw the ball up there. Granted, he's not going to be one of those DK Metcalf guys who's just going up there grabbing balls one-handed or whatever it is, but he's a big body. I'd rather take a big body rather than and add to what we currently have rather than not add to anything.
yeah. I mean, the thing is with the offense, and what I'm most excited about is Travion Henderson because per what they're
Yeah.
saying, per what I've seen at Ohio State and what he did, you know,
Yep.
I don't want to sit here and lie to you and say, oh, I watched him every single game. I watched the big games. And he seems like a big play waiting to happen. And some people are saying that he reminds them of Jahmyr Gibbs on the Lions, who's
Yep.
explosive, right? But I do remember when Jahmyr Gibbs first started, and Mike, we both noticed from playing fantasy football that he didn't start off to a great start. David Montgomery was in the way. They had a lot of other stuff going on. He came on like later half in the season, right? So I'm hoping the same happens here, right? I'm hoping he pops because we got Stevenson as a running back. I like Stevenson, the guy. I don't know him personally, but I like him. I just don't like him fumbling 6-7 times a year. You know what I'm trying
Which
to
is
say?
incredible. Yeah.
Which is unbelievable to me. And he's getting paid, I don't know, what, eight?
Substantial money.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, right? So they gotta. You had mentioned the tight ends. Yes, I think Hunter Henry is due for a big year. If Diggs can get in there early, I think he's gonna have a big year. But man, they got a long way to go, and they better hope that this defense at least keeps them in ball games.
Listen, nobody's going to have a big year if they can't block. It's
Yep.
it's it's all about the offensive line, and
Exactly.
I'm happy with the attempts that they've made. They drafted two or three guys on the offensive line. They got the guy from Georgia, like Marc was talking about. They got Campbell. They got Moses in free agency. I mean, they tried. You know, the big ticket left tackles that were on the market ended up re-signing with their teams.
That's true.
So there wasn't much that they could do. I would have liked to have seen them maybe swing for that Laramie Tunsil trade.
Yeah.
That was something that once that went down, I was like, we could have done that. Why didn't we do that? But it is what it is. I mean, they're trying to retool it. It's going to take more than 1 year. It's going to be one of their biggest needs again next offseason, I think. And as is wide receiver. So we're probably gonna be doing this again, having the same conversation next year. But Drake May needs time. He needs
Yep.
time. And that's it all starts right there. Everything kind of falls into place after you can start blocking.
So, Mike, what do you think? All right, we're sitting here in January 2026. What's the regular season record for the Patriots?
I mean, you know me. I'm going 7-10.
Woo!
I'm going
Ooh.
7-10, which by the way, I mean,
Ooh.
It's 3 wins.
it's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I was just gonna say. A lot of people have it higher than that, but for me, hey, a 3-win improvement over the year before, no matter what, I think is decent. And I think we got to be realistic. I mean, the Patriots aren't the only team that got better. Yeah, their schedule is pretty easy, especially at home.
Mhm.
But I go down the list and I see, I got them starting off 0-3,
Whew.
Wow.
and then
Matter of fact, hold on. So you have them 0-3 out of the first. Hold on. So they got the Raiders at home.
Right.
What do you
yeah,
have that as?
Oh yeah.
yeah, they lose to the Raiders. They definitely lose to the Dolphins because it's going to be
Right.
175 degrees there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the Steelers, you know how the Steelers do it. I mean, the Steelers always find a way to win, man. And so I have them going 0-3. I got their first win coming at week 4 at home against Carolina.
Wow.
What about you, Mark? What you got their record as?
The total year or the first 3 games?
Year,
First 4 games.
year.
Well, for the year, I have them 11-6.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the Raiders.
Complete other side.
So I'll break it down to you because I looked at this list and I was like, all right, let's make sense of this. The Raiders, that I gave them the W just for the simple fact they're at home. And then Patriots they're gonna go to Miami. They always lose in Miami. That's fine. Pittsburgh got no quarterback, so I don't know who's throwing to who and know who are receivers. Matter of fact, I think they're in a worse case scenario than we are. At least we have a quarterback, and at least we have running backs that are in position to do something. So Pittsburgh, I got them winning that. Carolina winning that. The Bills, they're going to the Bills. They're losing that. They're going to New Orleans. I bet you they're going to win that one. New Orleans is yet to decide who their quarterback is, and I doubt. And Chris Olave, hopefully that kid's in good health, but at the same time, who knows if he'll be ready for that. New England,
maybe he gets traded to the Patriots.
Who knows? Then you got New England at Tennessee. I said that's a win for us. Cleveland then comes down to New England. I said that's a win for us. Atlanta at New England. I said that's a win for us because then you're looking at the wintertime. These guys you got a rookie quarterback who's coming down into the cold weather, who's not in a dome. See you later. I'll take the W on that. New England at Tampa Bay. I think they take a L on that one. The Jets come to New England. Forget about that one. I'll take the W on that one. New England at Cincinnati. They're going to lose that one. The Giants at New England. They'll lose that. Rookie quarterback is probably going to get pummeled by then. That's even if he's even playing because they also got the Russell Wilson, and who knows if he's still playing at that point in time. But at the same time, what are his pieces over there? New England at Baltimore, a loss. New England at Jets, that's a W. Miami at New England, wintertime, last game of the year, I'm taking that as a W. 11-6.
Wow. Yeah, you're on the complete other side of what Mike just said. I'm gonna kind of split it and go 9-8. Only reason I'm saying that is yes, because the on paper, the schedule looks easy. The thing is with the Patriots and what they've done this offseason, especially on the defense, I think that alone should be 2-3 wins because the defense should be able to keep them in games, should be able to turn the ball over with Davis on the other side of Christian Gonzalez, with the linebacking crew revamp, with the defensive line looking like it's stout, with Christian Barmore just getting the okay from the doctor to be able to play. Also, the coaching, right? The coaching alone should add 1-2 wins in there, whether it's McDaniels drawing up the offense or just for the straight fact that Mike Vrabel is a leader of men, right? Just that off of emotion alone, they should be able to get 1-2 wins based on what those guys can do together. So I got them coming in at 9-8, fighting for a wild card. Also their division. I think Buffalo is a great team. I do think that window is slowly closing as far as, Buffalo being able to capitalize on, Josh Allen being there and the defense that they've had over the past several years. And I think the Patriots can fight for a wild card and actually finish second in that division because nobody's scared of the Jets. I mean, you know how I feel about the Jets. Screw them. And Miami, to me, Miami's just another team. They got some great pieces. Cool coach. He wears, little, what do they call them? Capris or whatever, with his little white sneakers. It's cute. You know what I mean? It's very Miami, with his Versace shades, but whatever. Ain't nobody scared of them. But
Listen,
yeah,
hey,
I got them in 9-8.
that's what everybody said about Buffalo going into last year. Windows closing. Look at all the
Yep.
pieces. Look at all the pieces they lost. Hey, when you got an MVP at quarterback,
Yep.
we know what that looks like here in New England. When you got an MVP at quarterback, it doesn't matter much what's around them. You get a decent offensive line, and they're making the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I don't take Buffalo lightly at all. I think we probably split with New York. We split with Miami, and then as far as Atlanta goes, I have that one as a loss because I love Penix. In fact, this is something that is sacrilegious around here. But if I had to choose right now, I take Penix over Drake May.
Me too.
So I that's kind of where I'm coming from on a couple of these games.
But I
Yeah,
kind of agree with that with the Penix over Drake May.
same here. 3 for 3 on that one. But let's switch gears a little bit, because yes, we are a football, fantasy football show, but we're also a fatherhood show. We are all parents, right? So let's take a shift into a dad life segment. Spend some time. We got about 14 minutes left on the podcast. But if you are listening, do not forget to subscribe on YouTube by hitting the subscribe button. Hit the alert button to let you all be aware of when we have a new podcast up and running, and also share and like our content. Any help would be appreciated. But dad life, okay? I came up with this topic called dad gear debate. You know, gear as in like what you wear, either, whether it's in your house or to a party, kids party, whatever it may be. But guys, let's talk a little bit about dad gear. Mark, what's kind of like your secret weapon when attending events with kids in regards to like accessories and outfits?
Anything dark, light colors, I'm opposing to. Never that. I've had black T-shirts have been very successful because it looks key. I can get them. I can spill milk on it. I can spill ketchup on it. Wipe it right off. My son
Agreed.
can wipe his mouth right onto my shirt, and all I gotta do is wipe it right off. Black T-shirts all day, every day.
Well, Mike, I know you're kind of out of the younger child phase. So what's it looking like on your end
Well, you want me to try to think back in the day, or you want to you talking about currently?
currently?
Beer. You know, my kids are at the point now where like I don't have to pay attention to them that close. Especially they're kind of doing their own thing. My son, I gotta know where he's at and make sure that he's not like getting into trouble. But for me, dealing with the kids, because what happens is they want to go home. So we're having a good time. We're hanging out, whatever. It's getting late. We want to hang out, and they begging to go home. Let's go home and go home. I want to go home. So you gotta have a few drinks in you in order to deal with that.
For sure, for sure. No, I agree with both. Definitely different stages in life. But what's one thing, right? One, whether it's an accessory or like an outfit or whatnot, the shoes. What's one dad gear that needs to be retired, fellas? Well, Mike, we'll start with you.
Flip flops.
Flip flops.
Yeah, man. I'm all set with that. Nobody needs to be seeing everybody's feet.
I love it.
Grown men wearing flip flops.
Yep.
I'm not into it. So that could be retired.
What about you, Mark?
I haven't hit the stage to retire anything yet. I'm at the point where I'm trying to still figure it out. So, but I think if I had to retire something, what would I retire right now?
Mm.
To be honest with you, I can't even tell you. I really couldn't even tell you.
Everything's still in play for you, right?
Everything's still in play because I got, like I said, I got one who's turning 2, and I got one who's coming right behind him.
Yup.
So right now, just trying to figure out how to deal with 2 rather than 1. I'm getting into the thick of it right now.
You need all the accessories.
Right.
At this point in time, I need suggestions.
Right. Well, a bonus question for you both, real quick. Imagine like chasing kids in a park, whether it's Mike, you chasing after your son for whatever God knows reason, but Mark, you chasing your little ones at the park, or at a party or whatnot. What's the best shoe for chasing kids around?
Anything that has laces so that you're strapped up and ready to move.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. It's got to be like running sneakers,
Right.
right? That's kind of what I would think. Like it keeps you light in your feet. You're able to move around quick. At this age though, you could tear something or rip something, but otherwise, but you got to be wearing sneakers, I think.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
can't be running around in flip flops.
Nah,
Yeah,
nah,
exactly.
nah. Bro, I've tried
Exactly.
I've tried I've tried running around in flip flops or Crocs, and like you ever go to a park, with the wood chips and everything like that, the next thing you know, it's all up in your sandals, all up in your feet. It's so uncomfortable.
About I don't know, about maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, I broke my ankle running around in flip flops. So maybe that's
Woo!
subconsciously. That's why I hate flip flops.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Happy you're healed up.
Yeah.
Couple quick minutes on the dad life hack of the week, right? From each of you, right? Give me a time-saving tip as a dad. Mark, we'll start off with you. Like what's a dad life hack, whether something that you've come up with on your own, something that you've seen on the internet. What works for you?
What works for me,
As,
like
as,
right
as
now, my
far
bit.
as far as like a time-saving tip.
Oh, time saving tip. One, always pack the night before if possible, and
Oh,
always have a bag
yes.
ready to go.
Love it.
Ready to go. There's no ands if buts about it. It's like a bag that's sitting at the door. It
Yep.
can be picked up at any point in time. It has 4 or 5 diapers already on it. It never falls below 2 diapers. But I think the biggest other hack is like right now, get my son to go to sleep at night. So what I do is I take him outside and let him run
Yep.
2 times a day. Just try to drain him out.
About you, Mike?
I'm thinking about kind of along the same lines. Like I'm thinking about taking the kids and going to the beach or whatever.
Mm.
You gotta prepare ahead of time. You gotta have sandwiches, you gotta have fruit, you gotta have waters, you gotta have all those things packed and ready to go. I mean, if you show up to the beach with just an umbrella and a chair, you're in trouble with the
Good
kids.
luck. Yep.
So you gotta have everything ready to go, your little buggy and get it out there. But that's you know just kind of along the lines of what Mark's saying. I mean, you just have to have everything. You have to prepare for almost every scenario and make sure you have everything in your in your arsenal before it happens, so you don't have to deal with it after.
Yeah, I agree. Along the same lines, it just happened to me this past weekend. We went away to Foxwoods area with the kids, and well, they weren't gambling.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Oh, it was crazy. We went to Great Wolf Lodge. It just opened and right next to Foxwoods, literally like right across the street. It was a good time. It was clean. I'm not a big like indoor water park type of person, but I went because it was new for my daughter's birthday. Shout out to her, Coco. But yeah, it was a good time. But we ended up eating at the casino because we just didn't really want to get into the food at the water park, if you know what I mean.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
because that got brought up to me the other day. They were because we actually, my girlfriend was like, "Should we hit up Rick and ask him how is it?" And I was like, "Sure, go ahead."
Oh yeah, I'll talk to you offline about that. But yeah, it's clean. Yeah, I recommend it. It's kind of like one of those things you just kind of go to. I don't know if you're gonna be going all the time, but just to at least experience it for sure. Very quickly, my time saving tip just happened this weekend, like I said. But if you allow your kids to watch like iPads or whatever on a long drive, just to kind of add on to like the snacks and the waters, things like that, charge it the night before. Charge it the night
Thousand
before.
percent.
And also, if you allow them to do that, download a couple shows so that when you're driving, you're not trying to figure out which Bluey episode to download or which Moana thing to download. While you got the hand on the steering wheel, that's never safe. All right, rapid fire to wrap up the show. We got about 5 minutes left. Okay, quickly, Mark. Let's start with you. What's harder, protecting the Patriots O line, protecting Drake May, or getting a toddler into a car seat?
Huh. Protecting Drake, man. At this point in time, my son, as long as I put a tablet in front of him, he'll go right into the car, into the car seat.
Forgets about everything else, right?
He forgets about everything else. So
What about you, Mike?
I'd
Think
say the same.
back in the day.
Protecting Drake May is probably harder. Never had much of an issue getting the kids into the car seat. Like I said, like Mark said, as long as you got something going on, you got like a little bag of Cheerios, or you got something that they can look at. I think that the Patriots have a much harder job keeping May upright.
What about I'm gonna agree with both you on that one, but what about trying to figure out who is gonna score, let's just say 10 touchdowns for the Pats this year, or trying to figure out a babysitter for date night? What's
Oh
harder?
man, the babysitter is harder.
1,000%, I'll agree with that one.
Yeah. Sometimes it goes smooth. Sometimes you have somebody that says they're going to come and then they bail at last minute. Sometimes you try to make plans last minute and you can't find somebody.
Yep.
Now, somebody scoring 10 touchdowns for the Patriots, that's not easy either. But if I had to choose, I'd go with the babysitter.
That's a high number, 10 touchdowns. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, technically, I guess Drake May could do it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. Right.
Right. What about you, Mark?
Definitely getting the sitter.
Yeah.
That 10 touchdowns, I can't see one individual player scoring 10 touchdowns. I would say at best maybe somebody with 5 or 6, a running back maybe 6 or 7, but
Yeah.
10's a high number.
Yeah.
I'll take the sitter all day, every day.
Yeah, and with the sitter too, depending on who it is, especially if they've never sat your kids before, it's like, all right, I got to give them the rundown. I got to give them the controls to, the sound machine or whatever it is, and kind of going through that whole process, right, is draining sometimes, to be honest with you. But I would agree. The babysitter, finding a babysitter for date night is definitely harder, especially when you've had like a long Saturday and you're like, yo, I just want to get the fuck out of here right now. Um, trying to find somebody last minute. Whew, good luck with that. Who's more loyal, Patriots fans or a kid to their favorite TV show?
I'll say,
Yeah, that's a tough one.
yeah, I'll say because I have kids that have kind of been through it and they're a little bit older now. I'd say Pats fans are more loyal. When you got kids into a TV show, they're really into it, right? They watch it every day, all day. But they evolve to other shows pretty easily. As soon as they hit like a little bit of an age barrier there, they kind of just that other show they don't even. That's it. They cut it off cold turkey and they go on to the next favorite show. So I say Pats fans are more loyal.
What about you, Mark?
Yeah, I would have to say the same thing. I've seen my son go from one show to another show. He'll be on the show for probably an hour. And at this point in time, to be honest with you, you turn the show on, he'll pay attention to it for 2 or 3 minutes, and then he has it as background music and then goes about his business.
See, what you just said right there is why I'm going to call it a push because you know what? I know I'm a fan, you guys are fans, but man, some of these people I talk to on the streets and in my neighborhood or whatnot, I just one day they're in, one day they're out, so I can't really tell. Some people just yap just for the sake of yapping. But yeah. Hopefully they have a good year. Key takes from this episode today. The Patriots, we think that there's hope there, but ultimately I think we just need to temper expectations. Hopefully they have a good year. Mark, hopefully they do end out 11-6 like you just said.
I'm
Um,
telling you, print it 11-6.
yeah, man, we love to hear from the listeners. Comment below in the comment section. Let us know what's your Patriots prediction, outlook for the season. Also, let us know what dad gear should be retired because flip flops. I think I would agree with that, Mike. Those got to go. Those got to go.
Yeah.
Don't forget, subscribe to Red Zone Dads by hitting that subscribe button. Let us know what you guys think. More episodes on the way for sure today. I want to thank you, Mike, for joining us for the second time. Mark, thank you for hopping on for the first time. Many more to come for sure. But really appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Later, guys.
Yeah.
Later.